Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to today's little project, which is to make a Ravenwing Apothecary biker out of the combined kits for the standard Space Marine bike and the new Ravenwing kits. Now, I reviewed the Ravenwing kit a little while ago on my channel, and one of the things that I noticed about the kit was that the figures were not compatible with the existing Space Marine bikes, and the figures that fit the existing Space Marine bikes didn't fit the new Ravenwing bikes, which was a bit of a shame. Unfortunately, the kit doesn't include enough robed bikers to be able to make an apothecary wearing Ravenwing robes, which I quite like. I like to see my characters such as squad sergeants, special weapons veterans and that sort of thing, wearing robed fatigues, and certainly for my green wing, my HQ, the apothecary is robed. When I made him, I made that choice to do that. I feel that being in a niche particular rank within the chapter, things like apothecaries and company champions, standard bearers should, wear robes, which is kind of iconic with the Dark Angels. So that being said, I waited until I got my hands on a Space Marine biker kit so that I can make a bike and use the robed figure that comes with the Ravenwing Upgrade Sprue. So you get the robed figure. I've got several of these because the number of bikes that I've built for the Ravenwing, obviously you don't always use this robed figure every time you get the upgrade sprue. So I've got a number of these spare, so I'll use one for the apothecary, the company champion, and then I'll use the robed figure in the Ravenwing bikers box set to do the Ravenwing ancient standard bearer. So with that in mind, I've just gathered up some bits here to do this kind of conversion as to how I wanted to do it, and I'll talk you through it as I go. So obviously the first thing we want to do is make up the standard Space Marine bike, and it is showing its age, there's no doubt about it, but it's still a good kit. I enjoy putting these together. I don't have many major dramas with building these particular kits. I find that they go together reasonably well. Yeah, I need to do a little bit of trimming down the center line due to the join, but ordinarily they're not too bad. What I will say is that I find this is the bike from the current Ravenwing kit, which just basically comes in two halves, whereas the Space Marine bike, you have to build your tyres up, you've got your bike frame, you've got your tread plate and that, and I kind of miss doing that with the bikes. The other thing I'm not entirely happy about, and that's the robed figure for the Ravenwing bike comes with the exhausts moulded underneath his robes, so that you know, he's this is the only bike he's going to, you know, these are the only bikes that this particular figure is going to fit, which is a bit of a shame. So within the kit, these are a pair of legs from the Ravenwing Bikers box set, and they fit quite nicely onto the bike that's provided in the Ravenwing set. Now, when you pop together, let's just give this a basic assembly. When you pop together a standard Space Marine bike, unfortunately these don't fit very well. As you can probably see that the feet don't go all the way down to the tread plate, which is a bit annoying. Likewise, the Ravenwing, the standard Space Marine fit doesn't look very good for the Space Marine biker. So that's the problem I had, and I wanted to, as I say, I wanted to make my Apothecary and Company Champion robed, and the only way I could do that would be to get hold of a bog standard Space Marine bike kit and put it together, making some slight modifications. So with that in mind, you build up the basic bike just like that. 2 halves, 2 wheels and the base plate, and that's the basic frame and chassis. I will run some glue into these wheels, otherwise they'll just end up rotating all the time, which might be great, but it's an absolute pig when you're trying to paint. So let's get that done, and then I'm just going to run some glue along the centre line so that I can cement it together. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'll just get a couple of pegs just to hold it. In place. So there are some slight differences with the Space Marine kit and the Ravenwing kit. The handlebars don't align completely, and the fairing, the winged fairing, doesn't align completely. And what I mean by doesn't align completely, on the back here you've got these 2 hollows, and then on the front of the bike you would normally have 2 nubs that you would slot into those hollows. So on this one they would pop into these 2, and that would sit at the right angle then. Unfortunately, because these don't marry up exactly as you would want them to, what I did was I've trimmed off those nubs, which you would find on the front of the Space Marine forks. I don't know if you'll be able to see it just there, but there's a nub and then there's one on that side as well. Now, what I've also got to do is, because the standard Space Marine handlebars would slot onto 2 locating pins at the top of the front forks, like so, but these ones, they're slightly shallower and again they're just not quite at the right width. So what I'm going to have to do is trim these off, get rid of those, just so it makes it easier to locate the handlebars from the Ravenwing kit. And then I would just pop those on there like that. Okay, so that is on, and that's as square as I want it to be. Now you can obviously see that we've got a seam line where I've glued it, and the good thing about the plastic weld is that when you glue it and push it together, it will create like a weld seam, which you can then trim with a knife, which is quite nice, so that you get minimal sanding, although I may need to just do a little bit of sanding and filling on the back, but we're going to put something over that anyway, so we may not need to. So just leaving that to set for a bit longer. The other thing as well is that I wanted to do the slight conversion, because the Apothecary and the Ancient and the Champion run around in the Plasma Talons, which have the, I don't know if they're twin linked, whether that's a thing anymore within the game, but obviously they've got two essentially plasma pistols on the front of their bikes. So and then when I'm ready, I shall glue that to the front. So making up the torso and the body, the robed figure on the Ravenwing Upgrade Sprue, the legs come as 2 and the torso comes as 2. Now, because this is robed, the Apothecary torso that is in the Ravenwing biker box set isn't robed, which is unfortunate, so I can't use the front torso, but I will be using the Apothecary Narthecium arm and the backpack and the Apothecary head. Even though it's a beaky head, they're not my favourite, I must admit. Now let's just take those off and have a look at just smoothing that out. So as I say, I can, because of the weld seam that I've created by joining these two pieces together, I can trim it like that. Now, I don't need to be perfect in every place, because when the robed figure sits on the saddle, he'll cover some of this up, so I don't need to correct all of it. But certainly from the second pad down on the seat, you want to just smooth out a little bit. like this, and the backrest there. Now just here I'm going to just flatten that out. And the reason I'm doing this on this back piece is because I need to, I've taken the winged I don't know what you'd call it, antenna mount maybe, from the new kit. Basically the old kit had rear mounts like that, and the new kit has them at more of an angle. So I'm going to place this onto the back. Now what I will tell you is that when you do this, once you've clipped this from the sprue, underneath here is actually shaped, and it's shaped because on the back of the new bikes it's keyed so that it can only slot in one way. I don't know if you can see that in there, it's recessed in the base shape of that. So what you need to do is just need to trim that flat on the underside, and then just make sure that lines up as centrally as possible, like thus. So that's the bike coming together at the moment. There's a couple of things which I'm going to do that I won't actually glue down. One of the things I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pop these torso legs on. To there, like thus. And then using the torso so that it lines up with the arm that's already attached to the handlebars, that's when I'm going to glue it into place. And I'll do it this way so that I get the position right. So a little bit of plastic weld underneath, and then I shall glue it into position. Now that that's in position, I won't glue these legs onto the bike, simply because it makes it much easier for painting to not have them in the way. So this will, oops, bugger, hopefully that's not removed it. So this will make it much easier when I come to paint this. What I can do now is just glue the arm with the Narthecium on. Like thus. I'll pop the head in. And I shall pop one of the shoulder pads on, which will be the Ravenwing shoulder pad on here. Like thus, and then that's how I'm going to leave him for painting. I won't put his backpack on, so that I can just get in to the back where his cloak is, where his robes are, and get them painted. But that's as far as I'm going to take him. What I am going to do is place the Apothecary shoulder pad onto there. I'm going to give it a slight overlap at the top, not much, just a slight one, so that when it sits on it will hide any join. So that's where I want to go for the figure. As far as decoration's concerned, I will, using from the Ravenwing Upgrade Sprue, drop in this one of these Ravenwing motifs. And just make sure that's the right way round, like so. I will also use, with the Ravenwing kit, you get these two like saddle panniers, which I will pop onto the rear of the bike. I'm just trying to decide the best way to put those round. So one of them is very much apothecary orientated, with the helix on and canisters for storing the recovered gene seed. And then the other one is an Auspex scanner that I will just pop on there. And they've gone on okay. The last thing I'm going to pop on is one of the old saddlebags from the Upgrade Sprue. And then I can put the front fairing on. Now, making sure that the fairing goes on so that the back of the plasma weapons, I don't know if you can see that, the back of the plasma weapons just need to be by the inner mountings for the handlebars. Okay, don't have it up high or too low, they just need to be like that. So by placing that on there and then holding it in position, and then I'm just going to pop in a bit of plastic weld, and that should, she said, hold it in place. Just pop in a few more dabs where it's needed, and that is basically how that goes together. So when it's finished and I've painted it, I shall super glue the rider into position and it'll end up like that. So what I've used from the standard Space Marine bike set is the bike itself up to the chassis with the footplate on it. I haven't used the handlebars or the fairing on this. The Ravenwing biker set, I've used the rear fairing, the front fairing, the plasma talons, and the handlebars. And then I've just used, because I've used the Apothecary, I've just used some parts that I feel would be synonymous with an Apothecary, as well as the backpack that's included with the kit. And then from the old Ravenwing Upgrade Sprue, I have used some of the iconography and one of the saddlebags. I've also used the robed figure, and I will use this robed figure again for the Ravenwing Champion, and I will I might do a build video when I get round to that. So anyway, that's the biker complete. I will take the body off in a sec so that it's separated, ready for painting. But that's it. That's basically it. You do, like I say, you do need to trim a few parts. There's some nubs on the front of the forks for the older glacis plate at the front, fairing. When you look at this, I will use some of the older fairings. So what I've done is also on the front of here were some nubs which would locate into the fairing, which I've just trimmed because with this older style fairing they don't fit exactly. They're just a little bit wider than the slots on the inside of the fairing. But that's it. Hopefully you will join me next year, and all that remains to be said is to wish you all a very happy new year, and I hope you have a very good evening. All right, take care. Bye bye.